guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be having a conversation about the recent just dump that just occurred both in the crypto market, the stock market, and some older vintage Pokemon product. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So as always, getting out of the way, we're doing weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed, leave a like, and then comment down below on any of the pre-recorded videos we post each and every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Of course, as always, you can comment and like on each one, so multiple entries. And then we also are going to be giving away 12 packs to 3 separate individuals. So full booster box of Astral Radiance each and every week. So 3 opportunities to win, 3 opportunities to enter. But now, jumping into today's topic. So as you can see kind of on screen, we're just looking at TCG play right now, but we're going to switch over to a recent auction that happened that I found very curious, where this was on June 11th, as you can see, a first edition base set sealed booster box sold for $200,000. So for those people that don't really know, at its high, this booster box had sold for, I want to say, over $400 and some odd $1,000. I mean, we can see an auction sale on January 14th. It sold for $408. And progressively, it got cheaper and cheaper over time. So, and you can see right here, January 14th, $408. July went all the way to $384. Then September went to $360. November looks like didn't really change much. Then that's 2020. Oh, woo, just kidding. November went down to $312. Then March of this year went down to $288. And then as we can see with our most recent sale since then, $204. So that's about an $88,000 price drop. So you've started to see the price of vintage product, more specifically, really go down. Now there are certain, and I want to say this very carefully, there are certain parts of base set, or I should say WotC, that have still held pretty strong. I think we saw a Neogenesis, that booster box on the recent auction, did not really make much movement. However, if you look at over time, it is down still like 40%. So this is just more of an important thing to kind of take a look at, in my opinion, because it sold for, $88,000 or $84,000 less than what it last sold in for March, which was 3 months ago. So you saw a huge price drop. Another thing as well, I won't be able to pull this up sadly on a screen because I didn't take any screenshots, but there were some sales by a pawn shop located, I want to say, in Las Vegas. And they are a pretty credible eBay seller, several thousand reviews, 99.4% feedback. And they were putting up a ton of auctions, going out of sales auction. And this is going to get to my point. But and with these auctions, at the very bottom in the description, it stated if you wanted to make a best offer, you could over at his direct information, right? Now, with these sales, he was asking for Fossil booster boxes for $6K, Jungle booster boxes for $6K. I think I saw a Glaceon level X. He was asking for like 4.6 or 4.8K, which last sold for 8.4 over on Heritage. 6K for a level X Charizard as well. Just ridiculously cheap prices. And now some people might say, well, Eli, like, this is just one person. He's going out of business. But here's the thing, man. And this is going to be the main theme and the main topic to how we, of today's discussion. It's how we know that there's blood to come and what that kind of looks like as an effect on the market. And so basically when you start to see the inflationary rate, and we talked about this on Tuesday, right? The inflationary rate is at 8.6, I think is what we said. Yield curves going up. You're seeing, housing market is starting to go stagnant. Stock market, crypto crashing. You start to see a lot of people, especially with inflation going up, things going expensive. National average for gas is $5. They're predicting sometime by end of year that could be $7-8. I know some people in the chat were telling me in California they're already paying those prices, so you're probably going to see double-digit gas prices coming in California. With that all being said, it's just going to make things even harder for people to survive and be able to pay off their bills. And so you're going to see a lot of people start to liquidate their assets, and you're going to see a lot of businesses start to get rid of product to just be able to pay rent or go out of business because they're just at a point now where they're like, I can't afford this. And so that, that pawn shop is a perfect example of that. Obviously, this is once again a recent sale. I just want to show at least some, I just want to show some form of imagery so you guys could really see with this auction because prices have gone down. You want to take a look at what happened with Bitcoin too within the week. Price of Bitcoin went from 34,000 and then at one point went all the way down to around 20,200. Bitcoin dropped 11K in less than a week. Dow Jones dropped 10% in the span of a week as well. So it is down on the 6 month 15%. We are currently in recession territory. And this is something I've been talking for a while, and I said this on stream as well. When you're in a bull market and you're talking about the recession and like what's to come, it's very exciting because you're like, oh my God, so many opportunities, prices are going to go down, 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 down. But when it starts to really happen and you start to see the effects of it, especially when there's not really a safe haven, sure, if you want to, you can go and invest in bonds at this point because yields are higher. I remember someone I think said, I'll have to check it myself, but someone said that long-term yields are up 9% now, which I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And so, deja vu of 08, am I right? But anyway, it's one of these things where you start to really feel the sentiment of fear and panic that a lot of people have as it currently stands. And to be quite frank, I think things are just getting started. Fed announced 75 basis points increase on the interest rates because their whole strategy has basically been, let's try and slowly crush inflation. And of course, it hasn't been working. And that's why more than likely they're going to have to ramp up interest rates at a more drastic pace because the slow raising of interest rates, it's not doing anything. And so my expectation is you're going to see that happen over time. And what's going to happen based off of market reactions to week priors, you're going to see stock market make its corrections. You're going to see crypto market make its corrections. You're going to see Pokemon market make its correction because yes, Pokemon has gotten to a point where it is an established market, in my opinion, along with trading cards in general, such as sports and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and so on and so forth. And so I think that there's more to come with it. And obviously I made a video talking about strategies in a recessionary market, kind of what I'm going to be doing. And so I'm not going to try and harp on that too much because I've already given you guys my general strategy. But one of the things I did want to kind of put an emphasis on this video is two things in particular. One, I don't think now is the time to panic. And this is just a general principle, specifically from a tax perspective. Obviously, if you have realized gains that you can pull and you feel like it's a time right now for yourself that you're like, hey, I'm in a good position where I want to take profit. I'm, getting hurt because of all the circumstances of the economy, then that's fine. Like, I totally understand that situation. But if you're someone who, let's say you're in a crypto position, right? Let's say that you got in at 40,000, 50,000. Now is not the time to panic sell because you're at the bottom more than likely or near the bottom. I personally am predicting that Bitcoin will probably find its bottom somewhere near 17,000. Historically speaking, usually it doesn't sit that low from its prior all-time high, aka the prior low was around 3K. The prior low in the last bull market cycle before that was 1K. What were the prior highs in those cycles? 1K and 3K. Where are we at right now? We just bounced off of 20K. What was the previous market high cycle? 20K. So it's one of these things where, historically for Bitcoin people, This is not the time to sell. If anything, there's an argument to be made. If you have that extra liquidity, now's a pretty solid time to dollar cost average. Same concept with Dow Jones. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think there's a lot more downside to go with that versus crypto, but who knows? Maybe crypto could go even farther. That would break a lot of fundamentals, which would make me more fearful of the asset in the future. If it were to go somewhere as low as, let's say, 10K, I think that would start to scare me a lot. But as far as it goes with, stocks, I mean, stocks were hyperinflated in overall prices. And so for me, I personally think that there's a lot more, I think there's a lot more downside to go with that. Now, of course, there is still a good opportunity. If you're someone that doesn't want to have to think about these kind of things, you can still dollar cost average. We talk about that a lot on our channel. But now is definitely not the time to sell unless, of course, like I said before, you're already in the green on an asset and you're willing to kind of sit on it. Because one of the big principles we really talk about on this channel is if you're putting your money in any of these speculative assets, right? Crypto being the most speculative, hypothetically stocks being the least speculative. It has to be money that you're willing to lose or you're willing to sit on for a very long time. So if this is money that you're saying, oh, I have rent that's due next month and I have to pay $2,000, and you spent half of the money made on your last paycheck on crypto, and that could have gone towards your rent, and you weren't able to afford rent because of the money you put in crypto right now, and you're down, 20%, 30%, that's not something that you should ever do, and that's something we kind of try and preach about is this money should be money that you're sitting on and and understand the risk that you're taking, and this is a long-term game for you. And of course, there's going to be general strategies for people that want to short-term trade, and there's going to be certain strategies for people that want a short-term flip in regards to just general, let's say, Pokemon, booster boxes and sealed product and so on and so forth. So I completely understand that sentiment. But right now, I'm specifically speaking to these individuals that are looking at this from a more, long-term / medium long-term perspective, because I know there's a lot of people that at this current moment in time are panicking. I guarantee you, if you bought Bitcoin at 40K thinking, oh my God, it was at 69K, just about a couple months ago. Now it's at 40K, great deal. And now you're looking at it and you're looking at your portfolio and you're saying, I'm down $50,000. That's a scary thing to think about. So now is definitely not the time to sell on that. Of course, this is general advice for most general Americans. Obviously, you're going to have individuals that could write it off on their taxes at the end of the year. You're going to have, people that are in the profit and they're like, oh, I bought in at 3K. I have no problem, taking profit if you want to do that. I still wouldn't do that personally speaking, but, this is for most general individuals that are just having a feeling of fear. And I think that right now you should change that feeling to a feeling of opportunity. And now I know some people are going to be like, well, Eli, gas is too expensive. My paychecks are getting eaten up. I don't have enough money as far as it goes for this kind of level of opportunity to take advantage of these kind of things. And, it's a tough situation, and I wish there was more I could do because each individual is going to have their own, situation that they're going to deal with. So I do, of course, I hope and pray for the best for every individual because, times are tough. But for those that do have the, liquidity and they are able to take in that extra cash and they're able to kind of sit on the sidelines and watch everything going on, be ready for a lot of opportunity to come. Because I think, in my honest opinion, the bloodbath is just getting started. I think things are going to get much worse. Literally, they just came out today with a report because obviously one of the reasons why, you've seen gas prices go up so much is because of the sanctions in Russia. We don't obviously, we haven't been, creating crude oil specifically within our own regions. It's been mainly imported. And what they just recently came out and said is that Russia, because of the increase of natural oil prices actually just broke a record for the most amount of sales they ever made. So, as far as it goes, unless we start to really change up our strategy, price of oil is probably going to keep going up because sanctions are not working. Hopefully that's not something that's political in any way. I'm not trying to be political in any way, but the point that I'm making with that is in regards to oil prices, just based on the current reports, nothing's going to change anytime soon. You're probably going to see prices continue to go up with that. They've talked about as well, because of what's going on in Ukraine, there's going to be fertilizer shortages because we do import a lot of fertilizer from Ukraine. And so prices of just general food is going to go up. Of course, with that, it's going to translate to prices of gas going up and so on and so forth, because all these things are correlated. So things are going to just continue to get more expensive. And so you're going to just see a lot of individuals panic selling, a lot of individuals that need liquidity now that are basically going to start, trying to get it in as many ways possible, selling off their collections at, flash sale prices. And now is, in my opinion, the time when that begins. We obviously saw the effects of, the inflated items that really took a hit. Like you saw, as a perfect example, I love to use the Jungle Pikachu that it was overinflated in price, and obviously population corrected that, and it's gone up a little bit. You've seen other cards such as, the Lugia and the Charizard, PSA 10 first eds, that have corrected a decent amount in price. But that was just a, I know 30 to 40%, and of course for the Pikachu, like 80 to 90%. You're saying to yourself, well, that's a lot. That's a lot of a correction, right? Well, that was just a general correction because of how overinflated the price was. Now we're going to see an even greater correction because we're going into a recession. And so there's going to be prices. And now, of course, everyone's going to ask me this, and I got asked this on stream. Eli, how low do you think prices could potentially go on certain items? And obviously, it's really hard to gauge that because we don't really know to the full extent of how bad things are going to get. Obviously, if we take comparisons, the last time we had a high inflationary period, it was during the 70s. During the 70s, one of the things we did to, of course, bail ourselves out, we had like 20+% interest rates, and then there was a lot of spending that also occurred to help dig ourselves out of the hole. Well, we're in a $30 trillion debt bubble, which we're probably not going to be able to do that because it's not going to change things. And so you're more than likely just going to have to see interest rates skyrocket through the roof, which means for those people that are saying housing is too expensive, well, when you have in 2021, 50% of individuals that are buying homes are cash buyers, and now it's 25% as of 2022, which is a 50% drop of the last year, and you're seeing homes being built at record pace from what was last in the 1970s. So in other words, it's been 40 years since we've seen these record amount of homes being built. More supply, less demand. What does that mean? You're going to see a large housing market correction, especially if interest rates do continue to go up and at an even faster pace because the Fed has realized this is not working. So with all of that being said, the point I'm trying to basically make with that is it's really hard to play a comparison to 2008. I think it's a better comparison to, the 70s. And even with that, it might not even be the best comparison because we're in such a greater debt bubble nowadays than we were before. So it's like we're in our own kind of era or our own kind of type of recession. Shout out to my generation. We've already seen 2 recessions happen since we've been born. So it's one of these things where, how low can it go? I mean, I don't think it's, irrational to say that you could see 50 to 80% retracements on a lot of Pokemon product. And this is specifically for like WotC era stuff. And now, of course, that sounds ridiculous, right? But if you're talking the fact of the matter that, let's say prior all-time high on, I don't know, a Pokemon Level X card, right? Because I know the market prices pretty well. $50 for, let's say, a Machamp Level X. And now it's selling for around $800, right? to my knowledge, and we can actually, if we want to, just so that we can not be spewing things out of our butt. Let's just look at level X cards, and let's do Electivire level X, because this actually just had a recent sale. Or if we want to, we can do Torterra level X. Here, let's pull it up, just because I want to use a good example, and we can even go and look at base set as well for first edition. But if we take a look at, let's say, the Torterra level X, hopefully we should have some recent sales history on it. But if we just go take a look at what's going on with the overall prices on that, you're talking about the fact that during the prior bubble, of course, 2016 to 2018, price went all the way up to 153. And then what happened? It found its lows somewhere around $30. You want to take that prior retracement, and this is not a recessionary bubble. This is just the Pokemon bubble, right? You want to take $31, divide that by what? 154, I think it was. You're talking about an 80% retrace. You're talking about the fact of the matter that this recently sold, literally several weeks ago, at around $900. You're saying to yourself, what would be 900 times 0.8? That is not right. What? Oh, whoopsie. 900 times 0.2. You're talking about a price of $180, which would be very interesting because that would follow crypto pretty well. Because the price of crypto, like I said before, specifically Bitcoin, its prior low was its former all-time high from the prior market. So if we hit that 153, 180 price on something like this, that would be right around in the ballpark of talking about all-time high territory. Now, of course, this is, not for everything across the board. Certain things are going to drop more. Certain things are going to drop less. Obviously, if we're talking about Diamond and Pearl right now, it's in a pretty much a hot pocket because it is such low supply. You just had games that came out that were really, pushing Diamond and Pearl. I mean, because you had Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. However, if we go back and look at nines, for example, I feel like nines are actually starting to see that correction, and hopefully we'll see tens coming with that. Because you had an all-time high, of $400, and if you think that's a fluke, we can say $339 and $334. And now the price of that is going to $166. So you're telling me that a PSA 9 is going for more than, former all-time high of a PSA 10, which is incredibly crazy to me, especially considering how much the pop report has gone up recently. Obviously, still a very low pop report, but my point still stands with that. We want to go back even further than that. Take a look at something like base set first edition. Do we have many sales of the Charizard? I don't think we have a ton of sales. Maybe we can try and look at the Venusaur, because obviously we'll have to go on auction sites a lot. We'd have to go on auction sites if we really want to see the sales on it. But, you're talking about going back, looking at its lows around 1,800. You had some record hitting sales, 60,000, 50,000, whether you want to call it a fluke or not, you can. Or you can look at it from 20,000. But either way, a sale's a sale. If it were to go from its all-time high of 60,000, you're talking about it going to 20% down. You're talking about 12,000. I mean, we're not that far from that. We're not far from that at all. And if you're talking about, and this is prior low, of course, of 2017, if you want to go off of prior high before the boom, because the price of this Venusaur held up pretty strong. You're saying about, 5,500. So that would be about, so let's see, 5,500 from 60,000 from swing high to swing low. It's about where is it? Why did it do that? Sorry, give me a sec. 55 divided by 60,000 equals, yeah, I mean, that's that's a 91% retrace. Don't think it'll go that low. I think you could see it be in the ballpark of like $10,000. It's possible it could go to its all-time high. of around that $5,000 price point. And I mean, it's really hard to say because it held up pretty strong. But obviously, this is a completely different situation because this is not just a Pokemon Go bubble. This is a recessionary period. But like I said before, 80% correction, 60% corrections. If you're talking about all-time highs of prior market cycles becoming new all-time lows, I don't think that's unrealistic. And even if you're talking about just half that, half of it or twice as much, from that $5,000 price point going to 10K. I know some people don't like to hear that, and some people might think that I'm being dramatic. But also at the same exact time, people thought it was dramatic when you had a lot of calling for the 3K point of Bitcoin last time when it went from 20K and it dropped, and then it went all the way down to 3K, and then there was panic in the streets with that. Pokemon, very volatile, still very risky, very overinflated because of everything that happened with the lockdowns. And so honestly, for that reason, I don't think it's unrealistic that you're going to see prices correct that much. And I know everyone loves to point, including myself, loves to point to population reports being a safer haven for low population, high demand cars. And although that is true generally speaking, that still doesn't protect it from price corrections, recessionary periods, if it is overinflated, and if there are people that are panic selling. It will still drop. It won't drop as much as overinflated cars that have high population. That shouldn't be nearly worth as much. But it'll still be affected at the end of the day, and that's something that people need to understand. So for me personally, if I'm being completely honest, obviously I talked about my strategy, but what I'm currently doing right now, it's a little bit of a different situation for me because I am moving to Arizona, so I already have been slowly selling off my product. But I'm at a point right now where, I feel comfortable taking profits on a lot of my long-term investments and kind of looking at opportunities, especially considering in ultramodern there is a lot. Looking at a lot of opportunities there, and then kind of playing out the WOTC era, playing out the Diamond and Pearl era, EX era, and watching and seeing what's going to happen within the next year or two, because you've got some analysts making predictions that you could see stagflation going for another 5 to 10 years if we don't squash this early now. So that's just my personal opinion. I'm being patient. I'm playing the waiting game before I start to really get into a lot of these things. If I see good opportunities off of ultramodern reprints, then obviously I'll be hopping into that. Let's say Brilliant Stars goes to 100, Evolving Skies, other popular high demand sets. That'll be one thing. But I want to be patient because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. There's going to be a lot of panic selling. And I think things are just getting started. So it's a good thing. It's a bad thing. But at the end of the day, I think this is our future. And I don't think it's a hot take to say that, especially when you're seeing that gas prices are as expensive as they are, food's gone up as much as that has, and people feel that in their pockets, and they need to find ways to recoup the losses that they had, whether it be through pandemic shutdowns or whether that be through inflation eating at their paychecks, because we've actually seen a loss in overall value in regards to the average American salary, because inflation is so high that even with the wage increases that you've seen in most places, inflation has still outpaced that. So we're actually making less now than we were before the pandemic, once you count inflation. So it's tough out there, guys, but make sure that you can try and be optimistic, try and be as emotionless as possible. I know it's hard for that to happen for a lot of people, but just look at it as an opportunity for things to come, especially for those that aren't struggling as much as others in that. But that's really all I have for today's video. I know this, hopefully you can take this away as a good video. Hopefully it's not too much of a downer video, but it was hard for me not to make this video and address everything that just recently happened in the market and what's been happening and how things look like they're going to dial up and they're going to get ramped up in regards to price correction. So, but as always, make sure if you enjoyed this video or want to enter into our weekly giveaways, give it a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then comment down below, of course. As always, post pre-recorded content Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you to comment and like on. So multiple entries, and then as always, 3 winners each receive 12 Astral Radiance booster packs, so 3 opportunities to win. So multiple ways to enter, multiple ways to win. But as far as it goes, that is all I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Friday. Peace.